Well, welcome out there once again to my program. Always a pleasure to have you out there watching, and it's always a pleasure for me to be here also doing this show. I learn a lot. I have a few young ladies that are going to be speaking about a special subject that, it's something they're going to explain the reason why they're against. Usually I have people come on and they're promoting someone, but this is going to be interesting, and we're going to find out what the subject is, and we're going to find out a lot of details, and they'll give us the reason why they think it's not a good program or whatever it is. So anyway, welcome, Jane Wilcox. How are you?
I'm fine, Richard. How are you?
Jim Wilcox?
No, Jim was my brother-in-law.
Okay.
George is my husband.
Okay, so that George was Jim's
Brother. Right.
Yeah, Jim was, is he still with us?
No, unfortunately not.
Yeah, he was quite involved over the years in a lot of
in
different
education. We were an education family.
things. Yeah,
Jim did an awesome job on the Holocaust program.
yeah.
He was very well known for that.
And B. Mendes.
How about Martins?
Oh, excuse me.
That's close, begins with an M. Martins is good. I'll take Martins if you don't mind.
And I looked right at it.
You look right at it. That's okay.
B. Martins. But I was thinking of what I was going to say next, which is you're the wife of Joe Martins, Joseph Martins, school committee man.
Correct.
And everyone knows Joseph, Joe Martins, the superintendent of Diamond, and you're his wife.
And we were an educational family as well for a
For
while.
how long have you been his wife?
We celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary last year.
Wow.
So 50 years.
Can you imagine that? Well,
Pretty awesome.
yeah, that's for sure. You make a wonderful couple, that's for sure.
Thank you.
And, okay, end Common Core. What is Common Core, I guess, and you want to end it. What is Common Core?
Well, I'd like to start with how I realized what Common Core was.
Sure.
And I was a second grade teacher, and I had retired, and my grandchildren were spending the night with me. And my second grade granddaughter said, "Grandma, can you help me do this math problem?" I said, "Yeah, no problem." And so when we looked at it, I was not able to do it. And
you
it was
were a school teacher.
It was very embarrassing, because she would say, "Grandma, you taught second grade, why can't you do this?" So I wanted to show you an example of what I was up against that night, and this is what led me into really studying what Common Core is.
Can you hold it up there, Jane?
Can we,
Can they see it?
can we get focused in on that? Okay, there it is.
Oh, that's
right
awesome.
there. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do the
Now,
explanation on this, if you don't mind.
Yeah, if you want to just put it in the middle, you don't have to be behind it if you...
I won't stand. That's the only thing. We didn't bring
Okay.
anything to hold
That's
stand.
okay.
We'll see plenty of Jane
You'll
afterwards.
see plenty of me
Okay,
later.
we
All
promise.
right.
We promise. Just to kind of recap, this is traditional math. This is how your parents were taught. This is how we were taught. This is how our children were taught. The problem is you have 225, and you want to subtract 24. So we were all taught that you go to the ones column, you take 4 ones from 5, you get 1. You take 2 tens from 2 tens, you get 0. There's no hundred, the hundred place, so you bring down the 2 for your answer is 201. Well, nowadays, what Jane's second grade child is up against, and our grandchildren were up against as well, here's the same problem. And to teach the children what they call the Common Core aligned math strategy, they have them do a number line, Richard. And so you start off with the number you're going to subtract. There it is, 24. And on the other end of the number line, you put in the number you're subtracting from,
Yeah.
225. So their methodology
That's actually the actual layout of the problem.
that they're teaching the children.
So in other words, if they're going to solve, do that subtraction problem, they're going to have to put all that on a piece of paper?
Yes,
As
Richard.
they do it?
Yes, Richard. Hard to
Wow.
believe, Richard, correct?
It is, yeah. I've heard of this so-called, we used to say it was modern math, and people were complaining about it.
It's gotten worse under Common Core. This is a simple problem. All right, so I'm going to explain to you the methodology that they teach the children, because it's very confusing for them. Okay, so they start at 24. The idea is to round up or to the highest, the next 10. So if you're at 24, the next 10 is 30. So you count up what's the difference between 24 and 30, and they would count on their fingers or whatever, and they'd find out it was 6. So they'd put it up there. So now they're at 30, and remember now they want to reach 225. They're at 30. So what is, you're rounding up, what is the next place you would go to? Well, that'd be 100. Well, from 30 to 100 is 7 tens, and that means 70. So you would put that up there. Now you're at 100. So now you're rounding up, and the next 100th place is 200. So now you realize you jump from here to here, that's 100. Now remember, you want to end at 225. So between 200 and 225, there's no more tens after that. So you just write down the 25.
And you still haven't solved the problem.
You haven't solved the problem. So the child now,
And this is a child.
this is a
Yes.
child. This is a child. The child has to add now 60 plus 70 plus 100 plus 225. And that equals 201. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
So then the child writes down the problem. 225 minus 24 equals 201. When my grandson was in 2nd grade, the teacher would not send the homework home. Why? Because the parents wouldn't know how to help their child. Can you imagine trying to help a child to figure this out
And that's
when you
all-
know this?
And that's what the educational system is partly about, to have the child go home and get assistance from the parents.
Correct. And now they cannot
And
do
now-
that.
And what you're just saying is that a parent, in most instances, will not be able to help their own child to do mathematics. Now, who came up with this kind of a thing?
All right, we'll tell you.
Does this come from a foreign country, so we don't have any more mathematicians?
Wait. The funny thing is, Richard, is that a child may come up with a different answer, which is wrong. And as long as they can prove in writing how they arrived at that answer, it's correct,
Even though it's wrong.
even though it's
Because they
wrong.
did the right
So
process.
it's more about procedure than proper result or correct result?
That's right.
Well, I would not want to be in a rocket that
I know.
No, either would I.
I know.
it's going to land somewhere.
That's why when you go through the drive-throughs, this is why the machine has to do it for you, because the kids can't add and subtract anymore. They can't make change.
I've heard that problem.
Yeah.
At local, eateries where you get, a hamburger or,
Right.
French fries, that the wait help is having difficulty determining change unless they can use the computer or the machine that they have. And now, of course, they want $15 an hour.
Yeah.
It seems like it's not really doing anyone any justice.
Common Core are standards. They're educational standards which drive curriculum and how things are being taught.
Now, where does
Now,
Common
in-
Core come from? The federal
Before you go there,
Yeah.
I'd like to let you know that before Common Core, Massachusetts already had standards. It was called, you've heard of MCAS.
Yeah.
That's the test that measures how well people are doing on the standards. So in the 90s, our professors from colleges, our local educators from all over the state of Massachusetts gathered together and wrote standards to bring up the level of education in Massachusetts. And we were #1 in the nation under the MCAS standards, all right? And that was all the way up until the 2000s.
That's right.
And then I'm going to turn it over to you to tell them how did we get Common Core?
Dr. Sandra Stotsky, who is a retired professor now from Arkansas, was also the assistant commissioner of education. She wrote
Commission of Education where?
here in Massachusetts, when she was
So
in Massachusetts.
We brought someone from Arkansas.
No, she was
here first.
She was
Okay.
here
Now
first,
she's
but
there.
she retired from Arkansas in the English language department.
Okay.
So Sandra was asked by the Commissioner of Education here at the time, Mitchell Chester, if she would get on the Common Core team and go and write new standards, since she was an expert. And
Well,
so
let me
she
ask you this. what was the need for so-called new standards?
They want to
When
make
everyone was
them
happy
nationwide.
for hundreds of years.
They want us to be common. All right, so Massachusetts is here, say Tennessee is here. In order for us to be common, this is what has to happen. The
Oh.
dumbing down of the standards in Massachusetts.
And Massachusetts went along with that?
Yes.
They didn't realize what they were doing.
Well,
Actually,
you just explained to me, and I can realize immediately something's not right.
It's all about money.
Yes.
Because
All right, now we're getting into
Yeah,
something.
that's right.
Yeah, okay.
the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is funding Common Core.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Now, here's a man that made billions, and I'm sure he used the correct mathematics in his computer work, and he's behind this Common Core.
Yes, along with other corporations. And the children in school are going to be doing everything on computer or on laptop or on iPads.
That's one of the drives. So you can see the interests for Bill and Melinda Gates. If they can get people to follow these Common Core standards, which pushes technology, which is not in itself a bad thing,
So
but
let's-
that makes him money.
So let's forget about cursive, the writing. Let's forget about just regular mathematics. And people are going to become, in a sense, illiterate.
Sandra
In a-
Stotsky, when she went
Let me
on
tell you
the
about Sandra.
committee for Common Core, she was the only English language arts expert on the whole committee. And she said, I have no idea why they hired these people to come in and write standards for English when they didn't have any expertise at all. She refused to sign off on the standards because they were so horrific. What they want to do, and what they are doing now in our schools, is 70% instructional text, like computer manuals in the English classroom, and 30% literature. They're getting rid of all the good classics like Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn. They are making people illiterate, is
Oh,
what it
it
is.
seemed, because someone mentioned that to me the other day, that I guess there will be no more notes in bottles floating in the
Oh, if
ocean
it's person
from
writing.
stranded people on islands
That's
because they
right.
won't know how to write.
That's right. It stays there stranded. So I get very upset just with the math part. I didn't know about all the other subjects at that point.
Okay, what
So,
other subjects then?
English.
Okay.
Now, well, Sandra refused to sign off on it. James Milgram from Stanford University was the only math expert on the whole committee that he was on, and he refused to sign off on it. And so we have no idea who these people were and why they were chosen to write our standards. But
I just wanted to add why Sandra refused to write off on. When she was a part of this team, she would make suggestions to change the standards so they'd be more specific and they could be understood. And all that time that she was on that team, you know, she sent them the information, but she never got feedback back, and they never changed or modified any of the standards with her input. And you have to realize she was the only person on that team, just like James Milgram, who had actually written standards before. All the rest were business professionals or trade professionals. It's a big difference, you know, in career fields of how to do things.
Well, let's take that example. You said Massachusetts and, you know, maybe students in Mississippi
Tennessee, yeah.
or Tennessee. And there's a disparity because Massachusetts students tend to do, or
We're
in
high.
your example,
We were number
we're
one.
doing
We were number
We
one.
tested number one.
Number
Even
one.
on the world scene, according to other nations, we still were up there, maybe second or third.
and Tennessee was
at the bottom.
Yeah. So what does that do, though, for the education of students in the whole of the United States? Why would anyone tamper with this method of teaching? As you know, Massachusetts had the first public schools in the whole country,
Absolutely.
and they've always done well. So how do you
In 2007, 2008, when this was being implemented, I remember Bill Gates is talking about this Common Core stuff, not directly, but you know, he has his trade organizations doing it. The present administration, okay, in the White House, said to the states, if you accept these Common Core standards, which are wonderful, you're going to love them.
We're talking about the present administration
Present administration
in the White House.
in the White House, okay? They will give you race to the top money. So they sweetened the pot. And so the states had to accept the Common Core standards by a certain date. And that date really didn't allow the states to vet the standards. They were told that the standards were internationally benchmarked, which meant everything in there had been tested against international other countries. And so if it's internationally benchmarked, that means it was verified. They have later walked that back. It has never been internationally benchmarked.
This must be a joke in places like China and Germany, when they think of how America, which has really done well educating its people over the centuries, is now falling into some kind of situation which apparently makes no sense to a lot of people.
No, it's very hard to, if you're in a position of power and you have said yes to this, that you're going to try and implement this and make it as good as you can. Because you've already said yes. You've committed.
And you don't
And all of
want
it.
to don't want to be embarrassed.
You absolutely, you
But
don't
we
want to be
accepted
embarrassed.
the money before the standards were even completed.
Excuse
So- We accepted the money here in Massachusetts under Deval Patrick before the standards were even completed. No one had read them, but we accepted them.
3 people signed off on accepting it. It was not publicly vetted. Like when we talked about MCAS
it seems to
and how
me-
it was publicly vetted, you had professors talking, you had, you know, administrators talking, everybody was vetting them. This isn't good, this is good, this is good. But it was a public discussion. Everyone talked about it. This came in like, quiet.
And it seems that the money was the thing that was speaking.
And you remember in
people-
2008 we had that recession.
Oh yeah, terrible.
So, you know, all of a sudden they were looking at, oh my goodness, we don't have enough money, what are we going to do? And then all of a sudden, isn't this wonderful? Look, we've got this Common Core, and they're going to give us the money. Wow, this is wonderful. It'll be even better.
But now, there's never been a cost analysis, and that money is gone. So where does this fall? On the taxpayers. We're going to be paying for all this technology and all the replacement for the technology, and we also, along that goes with Common Core, is the PARC testing. Now, PARC, I had to write this down because the initials confuse me sometimes, means Partnership for Assessment for Readiness for College and Careers, PARC. Now, PARC has to be done online, although they did have a couple of paper tests this year. My grandson took the PARC test. The teachers can't see the test, the parents can't see the test, but the corporations can. Now, there's a tremendous amount of data that is collected on every child. A lot of this data is coming right from these PARC tests. Now, my grandson called me, and he's 11 years old, so he couldn't have made this up. And he said to me, can you explain to me what these crazy questions have to do with my English language arts? And I said, like what? He said, in order for me to go to page 1, to go to page 2 on the test, on the computer, I have to answer a question. And I said, like what? And he said, well, one of the questions was, do you ever feel threatened by your teacher?
Oh wow, that is a ridiculous.
Another one,
Approach to
does anybody
education.
in your house smoke?
Ridiculous.
And all this information is being compiled on our children.
That seems to right. It seems as what is the kid going to be, a spy in his household?
That's right.
My
That's
father
exactly
smokes.
right.
It's invasive.
What's the next question? What kind of a magazine does it read? Does he go to church?
Yes, you're
Well,
right.
those are important.
I mean-
They want to
It
know
does-
what
it
your
does check-
religion is.
It does ask them with the periodicals
That
they get
sounds
in their
like
house.
what is that book? What was it? 1984 was the book.
Yes, Big Brother. Yes.
I mean, kids are not aware like we are. Your grandson apparently had some.
Well, he heard me complaining a lot. But I went to an MTA meeting, Mass Teachers Association, and there were a group of teachers there from one of the communities in this area, and they were so outraged by the PARC testing that was going along with the Common Core that they were saying that in one school, they said, we're going to give the children who are doing all this testing a snack. So they gave them gummy bears. And they said, but it has to remain quiet in the classroom, so you were not to chew the gummy bears, you were to suck it. They canceled recess in another school because they thought children laughing and having fun outside may distract the children taking tests. Another thing is that the computers kept crashing. So one teacher said a child would have to stand up next to his computer, and this teacher would go in the hallway to see if she could find someone quickly to come in and fix it. Sometimes it couldn't be fixed. The child standing up is in tears. They had children coming to school that were throwing up before taking the test. The anxiety level was so ridiculous. It really was
And
child
Bill
abuse.
Gates is behind this? In other words, Bill Gates was part of this at one time?
He is now.
It's called seed money. You know, he seeded money for these organizations to get started. This is also, you create the standards, okay, and then standards drive curriculum because you want to do that, and then they create a test, okay. Now they create a test, and so you teach and you measure how successful you are by the score you get on the test, and so now you need books also to teach the children what's on there. So it's a lot of money. I want to talk about why we're here.
Yeah, I was
want to make sure we get that covered because you know it's common
yeah.
core.
Actually, go ahead, get to that right
All right,
away.
okay.
So you're against this for the reason you just
For the reason we
stated?
just stated.
And those are
correct.
only a few.
Okay.
Right. But we want to come back again.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we think your audience would be interested. They have grandchildren, like we
Okay.
have grandchildren.
Get to that because
we're doing a petition drive. You're going to have an opportunity to vote in November to say whether or not you want Common Core to be here in Massachusetts.
Okay, it's going to be on a ballot.
It's going to be on the ballot. This November. And to ensure that it's going to be on the ballot, we need some more people to sign this petition. We're going to be at
Up at the CVS Plaza on President Avenue, right near the Rotary.
Now, is this a statewide?
Yes, this is
Yes,
statewide.
we belong to a statewide group also.
What's the name of your group, the statewide?
And
Common Core Forum.
Okay, and Common
It's
Core.
and Common Core Massachusetts.
All right, here it is.
We collected 80,000 signatures, and we only need to get 64 to get on the ballot, but the legislator didn't push it forward. So we have to get 10,000 more. Well, we've got them. We're getting more,
You
too.
think they were against what you're doing?
They just didn't take any action.
That's poor, isn't it, in a sense?
They just didn't take any action. You know, you're hearing our side, and now the other side will say all these wonderful things about it. And so we'd love to hear.
Well, anyone out there who would like to come on my program and give a different version, they're welcome to contact me and come on. Because all I've heard is not good things. Parents complain that their children cannot do the mat.
Having
Their parents don't understand the mat. This matter of not writing cursive anymore. What's behind that?
I was talking to one parent the other day, and she says, the only way I can help my child is I have to Google. I have to Google so I can find out how to help my child.
I mean, basic
should be able to
education
do.
should be a pencil, paper, and some books. And forget the computer and the calculator. That comes maybe later. But we all, most of us, did learn with those simple tools. And they stayed with us, and
That's
they've had for
But with
all our
Common Core,
lives.
Richard, we're losing local control, parental
Big issue.
control, teacher control. Teachers are being threatened if they say something, because we had a forum with Dr. Stotsky, and we had to turn the camera off because there were a group of teachers who came in and said how their jobs were threatened if they said anything, but they wanted everybody to know
So
what
in
was
other
going
words,
on.
Fall River school teachers would be somewhat reluctant to come on my program to talk about this because Fall River administrators and maybe the Fall River superintendent would be annoyed? Is that what you're saying?
I will say they were concerned
Well, I
for
would
their
invite
jobs.
any administrator out there in the school department here in Fall River to come on and explain their position as to why teachers should be afraid to speak about this publicly.
I want to tell you, for the forum that Jane is mentioning, we invited Sandra Stosky and another person We also invited Mitchell Chester, who is the head of the Commissioner of Education. And we sent the letter to him 2 months in advance of the date, and we said to him that we understood that he could not come, but that we would welcome anybody from his department to explain why Common Core is good. Because this was 2 years ago that we did this, because we were just starting to study this. We weren't against Common Core in the beginning. We were just trying to find out what it was.
Yeah.
But the more we found out about it turned us to be against Common Core. We don't think it's in the best interest of our children.
Okay, so signatures, and so anyone out there, do you need more volunteers? If people are out there who like to
Absolutely, we need
volunteer?
volunteers as well.
Where would they get the petitions?
Do you mind if I give them my cell phone number?
No.
I'll give you my cell phone number. I love the citizens of Fall River and appreciate them, so I'm not worried about giving you my cell phone. My cell phone number is 508-415-2599. If you want to learn more about it, ways that you can help, we'd appreciate it. Come November, we're going to need
Give the
people.
number again, because
Okay.
slow.
508-415-2599.
Okay, and remember, this is B. Mendes.
B. Martins.
Excuse me, I don't know why I say that. B. Martins, and
For 50 years.
husband of Joseph Martins, a school committee person. So
Richard's a good friend, so I know he knows my last name.
I don't know why it's.
It's okay.
So go ahead, continue. I
Alrighty.
didn't want to interrupt.
No. So in November, in the polls, we'll need people who would hold signs. We'd be very grateful. I mean, we, the people, need to stand up and say enough is enough. These are our children. We need to protect our children. We all need to make a difference. And I can't think of anything more important.
Do you have stickers, bumper stickers?
We have bumper stickers.
We can bumper stickers,
We can
yes.
get them for people.
All right.
And we have little cards like
Yeah.
this that people can hand out to people. We have all kinds of things. So please give us a call.
Okay, glad to have you on the program. I want you to come back.
We'd love to come back. There's a lot more to be said.
Yeah, interesting subject, and I'm sure people out there will have a lot of questions about this. So, Jane Wilcox and B. Martins.
Yay!
Thank you for being on our program. Thank you out there for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.